You're listening to CDKL5 in color. I'm Marissa, and on this podcast, I'm joined by my co host Amanda, and sometimes some very special guests to talk all things CDKL5 deficiency disorder. It's a rare genetic condition caused by changes in the CDKL5 gene. Patients with this condition often experience profound developmental disabilities, difficult to control seizures that start in infancy, cortical visual impairment, and a variety of other health concerns. It's a challenging condition, but we know that by sharing our stories, we can raise awareness, provide support, and paint pictures of our community that can lead to greater understanding and meaningful change for families like ours. Let's jump right in. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Marissa.
How's it going?
It's a great morning.
We have a guest today. Our guest is Teresa. Teresa's a full-time working mom of two. Her daughter Louise lives with CDKL5 deficiency disorder. She's 26 years old. She's out of the house. She's living out in the world, away from home. We're so excited to hear what life is like for her and for Teresa. So welcome, Teresa.
Hello, how are you guys?
We're good.
Hello.
So excited to have you, Teresa.
Oh, it's so good to see you guys. It really is. It really is. It's just, it's been since the conference last year. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
yes. And those new to me, I'm Teresa. I am mom to Louise. And if you've ever met her, you will understand what a whirlwind she is. The hugger, the wants to be everybody's center of attention and everybody's best dancer.
Yes, she's a dancer for sure.
She's
She's a dancer.
adorable.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So tell us about her. She didn't get diagnosed till she was what, 10?
So she was 10, just like a lot of parents back in the day, and I'm going to have to take it because I have to say back in the day because it's the truth. Like other parents, we went through so many different genetic testing. I mean, to the point we think I went through like 5 years of genetic testing and nothing ever coming from it. Finally, when they wanted to be very invasive, I just said, no, it's not going to change anything. She was diagnosed almost 2008, 2009. And again, at that point in time, I had actually given up hope of getting a diagnosis. Her seizure started when she was 2 days old. I had a C-section. I literally had her in my room at the hospital when she stopped breathing. She turned blue, the blue episode, the cyanotic episode. So at that point in time, she was having some convulsive seizures. They were able to get it under control, releases from the hospital, start with a neurologist. But what nobody ever told me was what absence seizures were. Nobody explained that there was something different than a TC seizure. Something totally different. So as she outgrew the phenobarbital, probably by the time she was 4. So we're thinking it's just a typical developmental delay. We have no reason, no cause. I mean, they work up everything from like Angelman's to Prader-Willi, all the SA whatever ones they were. I think we did the myriad of everything other than starting to go into muscle biopsies. And so I just thought she was delayed. We had no clue why. It wasn't until we were out to dinner for an aunt's birthday, and she started to have a full TC in the restaurant.
A tonic-clonic seizure. That's what you mean by TC.
Tonic-clonic. Yeah, full tonic-clonic. And I'm looking at her because she's sitting near my sister-in-law. I just looked at her and I said, Cindy, she's having a seizure. And then we'll just stop then. So we get to Children's Hospital. I'm not going to name which one, but then, it's the roundabout, the testings. It's a teaching hospital and things like that. They still nothing. No additional tests. They put you on a chemical cocktail. You leave. And if you know anything about Louise, Louise is the brightest child. I mean, light. She wants to be the light of everybody's world. She wants to be all places, all times, very outgoing. But having her on that chemical cocktail took the light out of her eyes. So we were only on medication, I want to say, for like a year and a half. I was dumbfounded with how bad the medication reacted to her and how I lost that light in her eyes. And finally ended up seeing another neurologist at Hopkins. She was the one that just looked at Louise and, she was fantastic. She goes, we don't know what we're dealing with. She goes, I disagree with what I'm seeing on the things from children. And I said, okay, then let's take her off of all medication. So we did that 10 days, took her off all meds. And while she was doing testing, she goes, I'm just going to throw it in there. Your daughter does not present like she's Rett. We're just going to throw it in the panel. And heaven forbid, that's during those panels is when the CDKL5 was first being looked into whenever you threw the testing data in for Rett's as well. So hence a phone call. I'm in my office. We figured it out. This is what she has. Okay, we'll set up an appointment time. Click. Okay. I just remember sitting in my office being dumbfounded, and I'm just like, okay, now what?
And she was 10 years old at this point.
Yeah, she was 10.
And at what point did you decide we're not going to medicate her anymore? How old was she then?
So we started with all this about 8,
Age 8.
with her having the first sign of a tonic-clonic. I will tell you right now, she always had absent seizures. Again, nobody explained to me what other seizures look like other than a tonic-clonic.
She went a lot of years, quote unquote, seizure free.
I would probably tell you she probably went a good 7+ years.
I
All the
think
time having the absent seizures. Because we would notice when she would go the blank stares and just stare off and couldn't get her attention. Didn't know what that was. We just thought that was just Louise being Louise.
it's a pretty big piece of the seizure puzzle. Probably if you pay attention, your kid's going to be having some sort of absent seizure.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I wanted her off the medication. And then we got the diagnosis. And once we took her off the medication, I would probably say we probably had only 3 major seizures after that. She would still have some absence, but nothing to a point where I felt as a parent I wanted to put her back on the medication. The 3 were very much quickly caught and, quick trip to the hospital. And this is where I will say it got a little bit, you don't want to butt heads with doctors. But then you also want to say, well, what's really going on? We could not get her to ever get a sleep study EEG done. My child was not having it. She was not. I mean, we tried the sleep deprivation to get in and have her head, whatever. I will say, though, that during her sleep on her EEGs, what it shows is she does the popcorning. So she pops a lot, but then it doesn't culminate into a single seizure. So we do have a lot of that with her. I would probably say I haven't seen her have a full seizure. I mean, again, the absence seizures right now might be more than just maybe 20 seconds at most, which doesn't warrant me to have any concern at all.
This comes up in our support group where
Mm-hmm.
people will say, I can't find a medication that works. And people will have this conversation about, is anybody med free? And there are some people in our community whose kids don't take medications. And correct me if this is wrong, a wrong assumption, but my assumption of that is that their kids' seizure burden wasn't that high in comparison to the seizure burden that other kids face in our community. So it's easier to say, I'm not going to give my kids medication because if they have a seizure once a week or once a month, it's not that big a deal. And to be completely frank, if my kid only had a seizure once a week or once a month, I wouldn't give him medicine either. But when your kid's having 10, 15 seizures a day, it feels like that's not really an option, and it wouldn't solve the problem to say, because it's not the medication that's making my kid have 10, 15 seizures a day. It's more likely that the different mutations that our kids have cause them to have different types of seizures, different presentations of seizures, and some people can get away with not medicating where others might not be able to. Do you agree with that, or do I have that wrong?
I wholeheartedly agree. This goes back into like in the group when people ask, what progress level is your child on? How are they doing with certain medications? And, the number one answer is your child is different than every other single child that has this disorder. And only your child can dictate how they're going to live with it and how their body reacts to, whether or not you have mosaic going on within your exons, whether or not with Louise, we have mutations into introns. It's so complex. I've actually, because of that complexity, I tend to, be more of a stalker in the support group. Because again, I've had to do that for a long time now because I feel guilty. I mean, I want them to see Louise and I want them to have hope and I want them to see, that she does have a life and that she can do certain things. And I want to give them that hope, but I don't want it to be a false hope. I don't want them to think that, oh, well, Louise doesn't take any medication. So let's try to do that. Let's see if my child will, be able to have some form of verbal communication or some form of being able to use their hands and feet or some improved cognitive ability. So, and that's the number one answer is every child is so distinctly different.
So describe Louise to us, because most people listening are not going to know who she is or what she does.
She still needs 24/7 one-on-one to help with her daily living activities, her daily living skills. Louise can walk. Louise can jump. Louise can dance. Louise has a great form of communication in her own way. She does not currently have any maladaptive behaviors. I've been very fortunate with that she has just been nothing but a loving. The only time we did have maladaptive behaviors is when we decided to try birth control so that she can continue swimming fully throughout the summer. Whoa, never do that again. That hormonal change brought out a beast that nobody wants to see. So, short story, it wasn't long, took it off, no big deal. She can say certain things. She can say certain words. Her new thing is you'll ask her, how are you? She'll go, fine. So she can actually respond to certain things. And then she'll ask you, like, how are you? And she does have certain key phrases like, what's that? Who's that? Everybody she likes is called Naya. They only have one name. I remember they have is their true name, but everybody is Naya. She can really communicate her wants. I think I was very fortunate early on where I had some great paraeducators and some great educators that we realized that when you did the signing along with the verbal word, the processing went faster through her. She was able to process that faster than if you were just doing the sign or if you're just doing the verbal prompt. She still has some ataxia. So, two-handed items to do. She's a little bit of shaky, but she can do them. She can open up a water bottle. You have to cut up her food, but she can feed herself. So, I mean, in the world that we live in, we don't have that many kids that are on Louise's level. I will say it was such a joy to see some of the younger kids that were there at the conference last year that were mobile, that were I felt sometimes with Louise, how far I feel she is like on that spectrum that we're all on, that she's more towards an upper end. But with that, going back to the original part of this, yeah, she's 24/7. So if I'm out with Louise, here's the deal. You take a rambunctious 3-year-old and how they want to be everywhere. And they spin. I used to call her my Tasmanian devil because she would spin all over the place. Well, imagine that in the body of a 26-year-old woman who is strong as an ox and all she wants to do is still buzz around, and doesn't want to listen, and you're pulling her back, and no, you can't hug everybody because of safety purposes, and you can't just randomly walk up to somebody and grab their hand and want to think they're going to walk with you. That was always a concern in school with her safety. So a lot of it is safety concerns too. I mean, you're walking, but you do have to prompt her and say, look, you have to step down from here. You have to step up. She doesn't have a visual impairment, but it's just a spacious awareness. So it's having that awareness around her. She is not afraid of anything. So, I mean, the safety concerns are great, even at this age, especially with her being as mobile as she is.
Is she good about, like, for Ava, things like the stove? Like, I still have got to be sure if I'm cooking or something, that Ava is not around because she's going to, make herself at home. I mean, as you're talking through this, it occurred to me, like, does she respond to those kind of safety things within the home that she's more exposed to, or is it still like?
No. Well, she does now that she's older. So there is a little bit more comprehension to that. When she was younger, of course, Louise loves food. All of our kids, I think all of our kids love food. When we lived in the house back in the day, I literally had all the knobs off the stove. We had to reverse the on and off water because she knew how to turn on the water on the sink. Those had to be reversed so that because she's used to pulling one way, so now we had to reverse them. So she couldn't randomly go in there and turn on the water. I had 3 locks on the refrigerator. So we started with the first one, like you would see on a cabinet. It's just got the push it in lock, pops open for toddlers. Yeah, that didn't work. So then we had another one that would come down in between the doors and that. Well, she figured out she can get that one open and then she can still open both to the freezers. After that, we ended up screwing a metal piece from the top, from like the freezer going up to the top. So the lock was up top there. And then we had to take another metal plate and put it where your that was from the freezer, and another one from the refrigerator. I mean, I tried everything from like carabiners to you name it, but we physically had to drill in plates and put physical locks on there so that she could not get into them.
Get in.
Everything was locked down. The bathroom door always had to stay locked. Rooms that she could not get into, that we did not want her into, always stayed locked.
Yeah.
So
pictures on the wall, stuff like that. You can't have
I didn't have
glass where
those.
they can pull them down.
I didn't have that. So you would not find, if you walked in my house, the only pictures you would find would be a couple on the mantle till she got tall enough. There would be no decorative items out in the house at all, unless they were stuffed animals and purposely set there that I know that she could go ahead and take and play with. But no, we never had any full nice little shelving with all the family pictures or pictures of aunts and uncles because she loves her aunts and uncles. No, we couldn't have any of that out. Yeah.
I know, one of the things that we wanted to talk about, and this is maybe a great segue, because that really changes how you live your life and how you feel and how your other child feels, and navigating that whole family dynamic that feels really drastically different than what's quote unquote normal. How did you guys handle that?
I would say we did the best we could. I mean, that's all I can say to it. It was very difficult. We're talking that I separated and eventually got divorced from my ex-husband before Louise was diagnosed. So before the diagnosis. So Olivia was like in kindergarten. So for her, it was a tough road for us to navigate. I was very fortunate. I did have some beautiful, wonderful people in my life. Still to this day, a wonderful community between the school she was going to, another private club that we would go to as well. So I was very fortunate that we had that. And in the same token, I was always trying to find a balance between how to be Louise's mom or a mom to a special needs, and then also have a younger child who really needed to be her own person and experience life. I mean, I wanted her to have experiences. The issue is that in order for her to have an experience, I always had to have her sister with me. So that does take away because, of course, I'm focusing on the safety of Louise and what's going on around there. And I'm not fully present in whatever we're trying to participate as a family. So I do believe that it was a hindrance. And then again, at that point in time, I have to talk about when you're a single parent, the time constraints, even now. I mean, as parents, when you have your children at your house, you have time constraints. I mean, even when you do get some time of respite, that's still limited time. That's a time constraint. I remember getting Easter seals thinking, okay, Easter seals will come in like twice a month and they'll come in for a couple of hours on a Saturday. I'll do something with Olivia. Well, we couldn't take the whole day. It was 4 hours. So what do you do after you're dropping her off, coming home? Then all of a sudden you've got to remember pick her up in time. And so that 4 hour window jumps to maybe 2 hours. And then you want to have more than 2 hours. My youngest had to grow up quick. It's hard for them. And I don't think I really recognized, because I was too busy pushing my own feelings down just to make sure we got through the day, that I didn't recognize that everything that was happening with Louise was fully impacting her. She would not say it when she was younger, but there was a lot of concern that she hid, a lot of concern for me, a lot of concern for my mom, because she wanted to be that good child. She wanted to be that perfect child because her sister was imperfect, according to the world. According to the world, her sister had an issue and was imperfect. So that goes into building up this whole thing that since my sister, no matter what the disorder is or no matter what's going on, I need to be the perfect child now. I need to get all the good grades. I need to excel in whatever I do. And I will tell you right now, that's so unhealthy.
There is this article called The Glass Sibling.
Glass sibling, yeah.
And that's exactly what it talked about. It talked about when you're a family and one of your children has special needs or whatever, that a lot of times the message to the quote unquote healthy or normal child is that, well, your parents have a lot on their plate. You need to be good. You need to help your mom. You need to be good because they've got so much going on with whatever the other sibling has. And I'll link that article in the show notes when we share the episode. But the woman who wrote the article is an adult now, and she was talking about how she had come into contact or watched a TED talk or something about another woman who had been this also a glass sibling and felt, wow, really connected to. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how much of an impact my sibling had on who I became.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just share
Yeah.
my youngest is going to be, well, she is 16. And let's see, I got been divorced 3, going on 4 years. And she's really just starting to articulate these things and the perfection aspect of it. And it's not one we need more research. We need help. We need to understand how these siblings can be supported in our systems, even, right? We talk about family-centered care, and family-centered care never involves a sibling. It's always about caretakers and, patients. But some of the conversations we've been having, I thought I tried to address some of the concerns that she might feel. They have to feel so helpless, I guess, is what's finally occurring to me. She's an overachiever. She wants to finish high school. She wants to go do things. I think she almost feels like, it's not a burden. They're not burdens, but I think they see all of this attention going towards their sibling. And how can you feel anything but like, I'm going to have to wait over here while they deal with that, and then they can help me. And that's kind of the gist I'm starting to feel and try to reconcile with. How do I do better? Can you do, you can't really avoid some of this stuff, and it's not blame shifting. It's just like a dynamic.
I will say that I think the best thing that has ever happened to her and myself is the amount of therapy. I am a huge advocate that across the board, get therapy. Get somebody in that can be arbitrarily, see you for who you are, be a listener. One of the biggest tools for me that has really helped is I had a therapist early on talk to me about different forms of meditation and what does that look like. And I will tell you, my meditations are no more than like 5 minutes. I have an app on my phone. I do a breathing technique or I listen to something. The longest I do is like maybe 30 minutes, but it's just taking that 5, 10, 3 minutes, whatever it is, time out to learn how to be present that changes everything. But I will say that I became a better parent once I had somebody to talk to. Once I had
Yeah.
somebody that did not know my family, did not know my ex-husband, did not know everything under the sun. It truly, truly made such an impact in my life.
Did Olivia resist therapy until a certain age?
No.
She was always open to it.
Yeah, she was always open to it. Yeah. So I'm very fortunate with that. Very fortunate because now she is thriving in her life. I cannot sing her praises high enough. She is finding her own way of life. She lives 3,000 miles away from me now. You know, she's in Washington State. I'm in Maryland, but she's finding her path in life. She is finding what makes her happy, what gives her joy. She's finding her passion. And I've always wanted her to do that. I've never wanted her to ever have to worry of having to be Louise's caregiver 100%.
That's what we want for all of our children, right? Is to get to a place where they fly and be who they are.
Yeah.
And there's different opinion from families in our group about what should be a sibling's responsibility to their sibling and differences of opinion. And each family has to sort of forge their own path and find their own way. Talk to us about Louise and adulthood and all of that.
It's been chaotic. So in Maryland, you age out of the public school systems at 21. So we were en route for that happening. And I had already started to look into programs for her to move into a residential community, knowing that, that's the next step in any adulthood. It's flying the coop. Is at one point in time, whether or not you're going away to college, whether or not you're moving into an apartment with friends, or you're getting your own little place, or you're renting a room, it's flying the coop. We had to expedite that. I had a stroke. So that kind of fast tracked that with having that health scare. So now she lives in a beautiful house. She has one roommate right now. In where we live, the residential communities, the houses only can have 3 residents in them. They all have to be of the same sex. The aides that work there are 24/7, and there's not one particular one. They have rotating shifts. So that's perfect because the original house we were in, they did not do that. And when she originally went into residential care, she went with her aide that we had had for years, who absolutely loved Louise as her own. So I was fine making that transition until I realized how much that company was abusing Regina with regards to no days off, no time off. She's got 3 people in that house. She's living there. They're paying her below wages. And I was like, no, we're not doing this. So I did find a service provider that was able to really work with us. So, and she's been thriving. She thrives. I remember going over there one day and next thing I know, she's zippering up her own coat. I'm like, what? So yeah, I will say the biggest downfall about the aging process is what do you do when they're out? What does that look like for them? Unfortunately, COVID hit during that time. So all of these day programs you're waitlisted on or they don't have staff. So, I mean, we're still waitlisted on several things. Now, the house, they will go out in the community 3 to 4 times a week. They'll do different things, whether they're going to the movies or just going out to walk the mall, they're going out to lunch. So she is still getting out into the community, but it's not like a full day program. So right now she does not have a day program she's in. But between my sister and myself, we try to pick her up at least once every 2 weeks, if not more than that, and take her out and do the things she loves, whether we're going to go listen to music so she can go dance or whether it's going to the St. Patrick's Day parade or just going out to her favorite hangout with everybody she loves at the nights. So yeah, so she's still getting out, but I would like to see her a little bit more active in a day program. But and now with all the other additional funding cuts through the state level that are going through, I'm not talking federal because of course that's going to impact the state. It's still, what do you do? But
Yeah.
she's thriving. She's thriving. She's got her routine. She's on her schedule, which is the best thing for Louise. She thrives on a schedule. What I will tell you too is Louise has an iPad and she has a cell phone. Louise has several phone numbers plugged into her cell phone and she can call us. She can FaceTime us, which she does. Unbeknownst to me, when I guess I first started her iPad, it connected with my cell phone, not hers. So my contacts were in there. So next thing you know, I'm meeting up with friends and they're saying, well, yeah, I mean, Louise tried to FaceTime me the other day. And I'm like, you can like block her or I'll delete your number. She goes, no. I was like, I thought that was funny. I said, well, then you can answer next time.
That's hilarious.
I think I got a call from her too, but I'm not an Apple product user, you know. Being an A, you know, I'm early on the list. When you think about A names, we get hit first with all the scams and the people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. So I will say we've been able through technology, like when she had Android, there was an app called Just Talk. So you download the app and she could physically call me, my sister, her aunts, her uncles who were all in there. So yeah, so it's great that we still have additional technology ways of getting in touch with her getting in touch with us. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how many times I'm having to keep my phone on silent because this child has called me 25 times in 5 minutes.
But what a beautiful thing, even for her to call some of your friends from the contact list. I mean, if they're friends of yours, they would probably love to talk to
Oh my
Louise
God.
for a few minutes. You know what I mean? Because they
Yeah.
care about you
Yeah.
and they care about her. And that's so nice. I think a lot of times the people in our lives, our friends or our friends ourselves, they want to be there for us and they don't really know how.
They don't.
But so, yeah, they don't know how. But so that's a cute little neat opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. I will tell you one of the biggest things is I've had not just family members, but also friends. Like they might get in a down kind of mood, or, I'll have Louise with me and they're kind of like, something's going on with their day and it's not great. And she just runs in there with that hug and those arms splayed open, like, come here. And they're like, you don't know how much I needed that today. I needed a Louise hug. Those are days with work. If they get crazy or just my own headspace is crazy and she calls, it's exactly what I need.
Yeah, remind you that we're not always here to make money or do the things that
Yeah.
drive us crazy all day long, right? They make you kind of stop and appreciate those little things that
Yeah.
we
Yeah, no,
overlook.
definitely. Yes. Yes. So
You
now
know,
my life looks completely different now.
well,
Oh, I
right, because
bet.
you're on your own too.
Yeah. I know.
How
I
do you like
have a
it?
dog. I have a dog. I love it. I love it. I will say the transition, even though it's only been a couple of years, 2021. So we're going on 4 years now. It's still hard because that's been my whole entire life for 21 years. It's been this. So to make that shift from being constantly on to like, I can breathe. I'm not on. What does that look like? So I'm recreating a new life. That's exactly what I'm doing.
It's
I
your
mean,
second act.
yeah, it
Right?
is my second act. I will say it's hard for us when they're younger to form a true friendship bond and to keep that bond strong. It's really hard. I mean, it's extremely hard.
Yeah. You want to show up and you want to do all the things, but the reality is you can't.
You
And even
can't.
when you plan to show up and do the things, last minute things can change and, it's hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard.
Well, you show up and things change within 5 minutes of you showing
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
Again, it goes back into, I'm going to say, least expectations, the better chance you are of you're going to enjoy whatever you're doing. Because walking in with expectations, I'm telling you, you're walking out the door and you're just going to be devastated.
Yes, I spend a lot of time lowering the bar just so I don't have to be upset about that, just so I don't have to feel that like, well, crap, it happened again. And I don't want to be resentful to this situation, right? But it takes your whole life to carry on. So, I love the time constraints. Like that really is an easy way to articulate to others, like, this is my problem. Like my time is always constrained, even when it feels like it should because I'm always on call.
Yeah, no, exactly. There was a point in my life when it really, I have my oldest sister who's did the best thing for me ever. She's like, you need to simplify. She goes, there's a place around the corner from your house. They'll pick up your laundry. They'll do it. They'll charge by the pound. They'll fold it and bring it home to your house. She goes, call them, put your laundry, put it outside. And they did. And I will tell you that little tiny bit of simplification made a huge difference in my personal peace. Huge difference.
Outsourcing some of those monotonous tasks that are time suckers that have to get done, but don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to get done by you if you can find a way to get them done by somebody else. That's really good.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is good. I just need to get over it and pay someone to come in and do these things once a month, even. Some deep cleaning once a month would be extremely helpful. But yeah.
I
Yes, I
have
would love that. Oh my God.
every 3 weeks, and I still have the woman when I have the girls. And I will tell you, I will save up every penny or dime. I will work part time to make sure I still have her in my house once every 3 weeks. Self care. I
Yeah.
will call that self care. One self care routine that I will not give up.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Well, it's freeing up some time to do something maybe we enjoy, right? Or even rest. I mean, sometimes back to the meditation and trying just to shut down and reset and, be
Yeah.
a decent human. No, I shouldn't say it like that.
It's the truth, though. I can tell you a lot of times I was not a decent human based on stress factors and, everything, whether it was my own children, whether it was the outside stressors of the world. Oh, yeah, no, I was not pleasant to be around. I'll be full and honest with that one. Yeah.
No, I think we can all identify with that.
Yeah.
When Gregory gets ill and isn't in school and he's home and he's ill, so it's like regular caregiving plus all of the extra stuff that comes with someone who's ill. I find myself being more quick to be this nastier person than I would want to be normally. It's because the stress of the 24/7 day after day after day, the stress is outrageous and it does change your personality.
And it's not just stress, it's the lack of sleep.
Yes.
I mean, there's days when Ava was young that I would go like 50 to 52 hours without sleep. Like, that's insane. I didn't even do that back in my party days, to be frank, When I was young and like crazy, I just, you don't do those things.
No, and I mean, and I don't think it's talked about enough that our children, because of the CDKL5, they're not sleeping affects them differently than us not sleeping. The lack of sleep can actually go into a psychosis. Have us as normal adults, normal people, lack of sleep can have us go into psychosis, which again is not healthy for anybody. I mean,
No.
you tack on the lack of sleep, and the amount of stress, um, and then the physical aspect of what that's doing to your body. Yeah, I don't think enough is talked about that those stressors and how, as parents, they physically can affect us, not just mentally, but also physically.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I will tell you, I've had multiple surgeries because of, the stress, but also if you're dealing with two kids, a quick, easy one was I had them in the ocean, one on each arm, and got hit by a rogue wave, not a rogue wave, but just kind of got twisted with having kids on both arms, and it snapped my lower back. I ended up having to have
Oh,
microdiscectomy.
Well,
I mean, but a part of that is because I wish I knew at a younger age, as a younger mom, how much I need to listen to my body because I didn't listen to it. Yeah,
yeah, it
I didn't
catches
have
up.
anybody. It's one of those you want to kind of have people hear your story and take whatever they can from your story and work it into the progress of their own life.
yeah. I mean, I've heard over the years about lifting and needing to get a lift, and, a lift takes forever and it's not easy and it's just easier to scoop them up. But then I hurt my back about a month ago. And when you're physically impacted, all of your other caregiving becomes that much harder and you don't have the time to rest as you need to. It's really the physicality of caregiving and the toll, like you said, that it takes on our physical bodies. I mean, the emotional toll doesn't get talked about enough, but the physical toll doesn't get talked about enough either.
No,
No,
I
I mean,
agree. I don't think it does.
yeah,
I can name the surgeries I've had for the physical toll of caregiving.
yeah. I mean, I spend a lot of time in the gym and it's not for any reason other than I am miserable when my body does not feel well and I have to shuffle 115 pounds around, pulling her up. I lift her up into a bed. Ava walks. Ava can do a lot of things for herself, but when Ava can't do them or won't do them, I've still got
Or
to
won't.
do that. Yeah, I still got to transfer all that weight. It seems crazy, and I was never into going to the gym. But As
Yeah.
Marissa knows, I'm like religious about it now because I can't have my knees aching. That was one thing that finally got me. Like my knees hurt all the time. I couldn't sleep. I was like, I've got to get my body under control. If you need an excuse to go to the gym or to get motivated,
If you're hearing this, please do it. I mean, 2 knee surgeries on mine, 1 on each knee. So not replacements, but just different surgeries. So yeah, it's amazing how we look to take care of everybody else, but the taking care of ourselves aspect of it, that just kind of goes to the wayside. And we just don't pay enough attention to taking care of ourselves,
yeah, it
Yeah.
feels sort of selfish, which is, shouldn't feel that
which
way.
is,
But it really does feel like there's something I should be doing for, whatever it be.
yeah, there's always something else that needs to be taken care of versus ourselves.
But there's always going to be something to do. I mean, I had to start reasoning that way too, right? There's always going to be something to do. The work is never done, right? Until our last breath, the work is never done.
That
And
is so true.
we don't put that pressure on other people. Like if my husband works out, and I would never say to him, that's selfish. I would never
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that to him, but I don't know why I also feel that way. I feel like it
Mhm.
is selfish to do things for myself, but I don't feel that for other people. So why am I not
It
giving myself the same grace?
I took her not living with me before I took that pressure off of myself.
Do you think it's
You know,
because you finally could decompress and just be like, oh, wow, I forgot this is what life was like before caretaking? Because, like, you get 20 years into it. I don't remember what it was like to not have these.
yeah,
I don't want to say the burden of my kid, but the burden of the worries that go along with it.
yes. Now, do I have different feelings and thoughts when it comes to Louise not living with me? Absolutely. Is there some guilt? Absolutely. It's two-sided guilt. Guilt is from society. Well, why would you ever think of her not living home with you and being with you forever and a day? And then I look at the other side of it and I'm going, how is she going to thrive if she's living with me? She's not. She's not going to thrive if she's living with me. They are set up in that house. You have 2 to 3 people there on a constant daily helping with the residents. They come in and I don't have 30 minutes to spend with her to teach her how to zip up her coat a day. Can she zip up her coat now? Yeah, because that's stuff that they work on when she's in the house.
Yep.
But then the guilt is she's not with me 24/7. And that guilt has started to wear off and become less and less because I see her thriving. I'm very fortunate she's in an area and she's thriving.
Yeah. And I mean, the reality is none of us know when our time will come, but to have your child unprepared for you to not be caring for them is a whole other situation. But, that's not fair to them either, just to all of a sudden have their whole life upended and nobody knows what to do or how to do it. So, I mean, I really respect and appreciate you sharing all of this and just my goal is for Ava to be with some peers in the house. She doesn't want to be with me all the time right now. She's also in a transition program at the school 3 days a week. She's never been better. She's so happy. I didn't realize how much she likes social stuff. I didn't realize how much she probably didn't appreciate school now seeing her in transition. But I can't provide everything she needs socially, therapeutically. We can barely get to therapy and home and keep up with all of the daily stuff.
The book that was put together with regards to how to work with the transition with your child, how to work with, trust funds, the legality, guardianship, all of that. Kudos to you guys for putting that together over there. I mean, whoever brainchild that was,
Oh,
I
the
think a
transition
lot of
guide.
Transition guide.
the transition guide. I think if any parent listening to this has not read it, not seen it, does not have it, download it, take a look at it. I think it's the vast wealth of information in there is exactly as your children get older, you're going to need.
Yeah. And it's the UCB one. We'll link it in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
And I think probably one thing, since we're talking about transition, and those of you sitting around with like 10-year-olds are like, oh, but honestly, you need to start thinking about it. You need to understand your Medicaid and how they fund equipment and home modifications in your state if you're receiving that, because there are people who lose access to that when their kids transition into adult waivers. So start thinking about transition early. It takes a long time to get things through the system that they might pay for pediatric wise that they're not going to as adults. There's something called EPSDT in our country that really allows them to receive what they need to till they're 21. But once that's gone, everybody pushes back. So even on therapies and
So
stuff.
if I can interject on and follow up to what you just said, I was very fortunate back in the day when Louise was probably in second grade. I had great health insurance, but the teacher said, get her into our state's disability administration, get her on a waiver program now. Even at the youngest age, if you can go and at least get your child on that list,
Yeah, if
then we'll
there's
come
wait
along
list, you
this.
need to start. Yeah.
You need to start now.
I mean,
I would say no matter
yeah.
what age you need to, anybody in any state, find out what that is, what your developmental disability administration looks like, and apply it. Because I sat there thinking, again, great health insurance. Need this, and I can keep her health insurance until she's 26. And the teacher just looked at me and she goes, "You're going to need this." And I listened. So, yeah. And I'm glad I did because everything was set. I was already getting taken care by the time she was 12 or even before that. Yeah.
Yeah. Once Ava got diagnosed, we got into a waiver. There was a small wait list, but the ACA came along and
Yeah.
they ended the wait list with that extra federal funding. So, and I had a similar situation. I thought we make too much money. She's got health insurance. And this OT was like, Amanda, get over yourself. And I was like, okay.
Well, Teresa, it was so great to have you on, and give Louise a hug for us.
Will do. Thank you. I appreciate this.
It was great to see you today.
Thanks for listening. We hope you'll follow us on social media at CDKL5 in color on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and visit us online at www.cdkl5incolor.com. Have questions or a topic you'd like us to chat about? Would you like to be a guest on our podcast? Email us cdkl5incolor@gmail.com, and we'll be in touch. Until next time.